While Past Me makes their character, let me explain what Soul Level 1 is. If you've ever played a Souls game, you probably leveled up before. Soul Level 1 means not doing that. That means no levels in Vitality, will be stuck at base health for the whole game. No weapons you can't wield at base stats, no longbow, no Black Knight weapons, nothing. And no weapon scaling. This is where your damage normally comes from in a run and why you would usually level up strength, dex, etc. And we don't get the benefits of any of that. It also means that I, usually an Unga Bunga player, is locked into Pyromancy, as they're the only class that actually starts at level 1. Aside from that, I won't be using any glitches, and I'll be avoiding most skips and cheese with a couple exceptions. Bit of chaos. Rules and explanations over, let's skip ahead to the first boss, the Asylum Demon. I don't know. I get them all messed up every time. Alright, time to have some broiled Asylum Demon. Feel like I'm in Dragon Ball. When Goku cuts off the dinosaur's tail and it's giant, and that's what's for lunch or breakfast or whatever. While not anything spectacular, did you notice the damage I was doing with my non-leveled, unupgraded fireball? Yeah, that gave me a lot of false hope for how this run would go. After meandering around Firelink Shrine and Undead Burg a bit, I finally made it to the first non-tutorial boss of the run, the Taurus Demon. There it is. After a little mishap, the demon went down and it was time to head to Undead Parish, which, for being like the third area of the game, gave me a ridiculous amount of trouble. Damn, parried my ass. And the riposte was a one-shot. Hell yeah. What am I doing? I have like no health, and I'm like, I'll just stand here. It's fine. Not because it was difficult, mind you. It was all just a skill issue. I kicked instead of swung my weapon. Yeah, first playthrough. Definitely not like my 30th playthrough. I finally managed to overcome my skill issue and make it to Lautrec, who we promptly paid a visit to in Firelink Shrine. Alright, you just saw it. 3 practice kicks. Am I gonna mess up? No. And then I went on to fight the Gargoyles, who I promptly died to. Why is this happening? Goodbye. And then I died on the way back to the Gargoyles. Okay, that's unnecessary. This is all quite unnecessary. Yeah, you remember how I said I could run past the hollows and it'd be fine? It was not fine. It was not fine at all. Eventually though, we made it through and I got to ring the first bell. Next up was Capra, which went well. Yep. Yep. Okay. And this is where I realized I might be in a little bit of trouble. Capra is by no means a hard boss, but I died 3 times to them anyways, and my winning attempt was mostly just fireball spam. Obviously, I will get damage upgrades as I go, but I'm never going to be getting more health, so it was a little concerning to die so many times. And honestly, my winning attempt was still pretty rough. I ended up drinking all of my S's to clear out the dogs, and I didn't even get Capra to half health after that. But then I got a little lucky with Capra deciding to lore walk towards me while I peppered them with fireballs. And then I finally finished them off with a plunging attack, but not before almost dying for a 4th time. There we go. Key to the depths. Lovely. Oh, that's some loud grass. Grouse? Some loud grass, isn't it? Why did I say grouse? After beating off Capra, I unlocked the shortcut back to Firelink Shrine. And yeah, the depths was the depths. I did the jump, grabbed the large ember. Any embers? Look at that, we get a large ember for our troubles. And fumbled around for a bit while trying to find Laurentius, one of the pyromancy tutors. We then ran back to Firelink, where we bought our second cast of Fireball and nothing else, as well as upgraded our Pyromancy Flame to +6. Then it was time for the return trip to the depths, where I fought the Gaping Dragon. This boss is pretty free even at lower levels, but I'm just bad at this game. Like, seriously, how hard is it to dodge a very highly telegraphed tail swipe? Impossible. Actually impossible. Yep, too late. Yep. I managed to get a little tail. Oh hey, I got the tail. Nice. And despite needing a humanity, I was able to finish the dragon on my third attempt. Oh, bless. I headed back to Firelink to upgrade the Pyromancy Flame to +9 and spent 3 minutes killing the clerics because I'd never tried to before. After that, I headed down to Darkroot to grab the Grasscrest Shield, which will boost my stamina recovery by about 20%, something I probably should have done at the beginning of the game. I also got the Black Knight Halberd drop, normally a great weapon with a 1 in 5 drop rate, and of course, it drops on the run where I can't wield it. Oh, I'm dead. I stopped to visit Havel, where he said hello, and eventually we got his ring, which will boost our equip load by 50%. Bullshit. Bull fucking shit. I was rolling in midair. Will it blow through this rock? I think it might. And then I died to the Hydra a few times before deciding I would come back later. The Hydra was surprisingly one of the most annoying things to fight in this run. Like, seriously, the Hydra sucks. Pivoting, I decided we should progress the game a bit, so it was down to Blighttown to fight Quelaag, which, while a little long, was a surprisingly easy first try. Oh yeah, first try. And it was here I made the biggest mistake of the run. After visiting Blighttown, you can tell Laurentius about the pyromancy down there. And if you do, he will leave Firelink Shrine eventually to go hollow in Blighttown. This isn't normally an issue, unless, like me, you didn't buy all of his spells before he leaves, namely Combustion, one of the better spells in the game. After unknowingly banishing Laurentius, I headed down to talk to Quelana, the new Pyromancy tutor, where I grabbed Great Combustion and another Fireball Flame. I also upgraded my Pyromancy Flame to +11 before heading to Sen's Fortress. And what can I say about Sen's Fortress? I died here a lot, like over half a dozen times. And in the end, it took me a full 40 minutes to get to the Iron Golem. Ooh. Ow. Yeah. Now I'm dead. And on the way, I grabbed the Ring of Steel Protection, which I used off and on, but I don't know if it was revolutionary. And then after getting all too familiar with the Giant's Ass, I also got the first of my Titanite chunks. Then the Iron Giant stepped on me, which I definitely didn't consent to.
Here's the windup and the pitch.
And on my third attempt, I successfully killed the Iron Golem. This fight would have been a lot easier if I ever actually learned the positioning for him to fall off the bridge, but whatever. We got it done. From there, as you might expect, I headed to Anor Londo. My run to the first bonfire was normal as always, and the next one was pretty uneventful up until I took a couple lightning spears up the butt. The The next attempt, we made it to the bonfire, and I didn't have any problems with the Silver Knight archers. Then, I headed over to the giant blacksmith, where I upgraded my hand axe to a lightning hand axe, which I then upgraded to +2. I also upgraded Grass Crest to +5 because why not? Ornstein and Smo were, as you might expect, the first real roadblock of the run. I usually take out Ornstein in the first phase, which wasn't too much of an issue here. Oh. But once I was on phase 2, I kept dying to Super Smo's Lightning Butt Slam. In the end, I just needed a little patience, and after 2 hours and 21 attempts, I finally beat the boys. After that, Guinevere bequeathed on us, and we killed the Anor Londo Firekeeper for a spare Firekeeper soul. I then went back to Firelink to place the Lord Vessel, upgrade my Estus, and then I headed to Blighttown to upgrade my Pyromancy Flame to +15. Still on the hunt for upgrades, we ran up the scaffolding of the depths to get power within from this cute little guy. I farmed a few souls in Anor Londo so we could get the Ascended Pyromancy Flame, which allowed us to progress Quelana's quests to kill the Bed of Chaos.
I have a favor to ask. Her power came from the soul that she found near the first flame. She focused this power to light a flame of her own, but she failed to control it. The flame of chaos engulfed Mother and my sisters and molded them into deformed creatures. Only I escaped. And now I am here. But my mother and sisters have been in anguish since. I beseech you, free Mother and my sisters. I cannot do it myself. But you, I realize what I am asking. Mother's ambitions were misguided, no doubt.
This was my first time doing Quelana's quest, and I just wanted to highlight it for everyone else that hadn't seen it. It gives you a little backstory on Quelaag and their sister, as well as the Bed of Chaos. From there, I killed Ceaseless Discharge. It was a very hard fight at soul level 1. Then I made a few too many friends and died. Then I decided I would head back to the Hydra, and it went a little better this time, at least after a meme or two. I only ended up dying twice before managing to kill it, after which we freed Dusk and got her crown, so I could be the prettiest princess in all of Lordran. And in seriousness, Dusk's crown boosts your magic damage, so very good to have. But also, I am a pretty princess. Then, to finish off the day, I went and killed the Moonlight Butterfly, which is one of the bosses of all time. That allowed us to get the Divine Emperor, which I don't think I ever used. After that, I let Sif bully me for a bit. I still first tried the fight, but for some reason every time I come to the Sif fight, they just body me for 30 seconds before I decide to actually play the game. Moving back to the Demon Ruins, it was time to fight the Asylum Demon for the 3rd time, who predictably killed me a few times before I remembered they're just a reskin of the tutorial boss. Oh, actually Pyromancy's great against this guy, I don't know what I was worried about. And I went into this fight, you know, thinking Pyromancy, Demon Firesage, not weak to fire. But yeah, Pyromancy kind of shreds him. I don't really know what I was worried about, but yeah, once I remembered that Pyromancy good, this was actually a pretty easy fight for me. Next up was the Centipede Demon, who, surprise, you have to fight in the entryway. Who knew having base vitality meant you couldn't walk through the lava? Not me. Aside from this weird roar I discovered, which happens if you try to drink an Estus while recovering from casting a spell, it was a pretty standard centipede fight. Thank goodness. And now we find ourselves in the depths to farm some humanity. I decided during my first soul level 1 run that it would be a good idea to save Solaire also for the first time. And after half an hour or so of farming, I had enough humanity to open the back door to Lost Isolith, which allowed me to kill the sunlight maggot that would normally attach to Solaire.
Was it all a lie? Oh, my dear son, my son.
Bed of Chaos was our next target. I purposely didn't practice the cheese, and unsurprisingly, when I tried it, I messed it up, which led to entirely too many deaths. Ah. Oh. Eventually, we prevailed, killed the Chaos Bug, and went back to Quelana to report our success.
Outstanding. Thank you. I suppose I can call you fool no longer. I can hardly thank you enough. Please take this. It is all of me.
She gave us Fire Tempest for our troubles, and I finally bought Combustion, something I should have done literal hours ago at this point. Then I got distracted by shiny things, which let me upgrade my hand axe some more. After that, I took Avian Air back to the prison where I killed the Stray Demon on my first try. I also grabbed the doll, coincidentally, on my first try. Next up was Painted World, where I definitely didn't die 5 times trying to fight the dragon on my way to Priscilla. That dude just fucking said, "From the top rope." Eventually we won though. We hit him with a couple fireballs. I gave his butt a little spank before heading over to Priscilla, who I didn't give a little spank to. Actually, she hit me with a 360 scythe swing and killed me. But the second time, I remembered that I had fire magic and decided that I would use it against the boss in the ice world. Unsurprisingly, it went better. Moving on, I got the Boar Helm on my way to Duke's Archive, something that I try to get every run, and of course, it drops the run where I can't use it, just like the Black Knight Halberd. Getting distracted, as always, I decided to take a U-turn and head to Quelana to upgrade my Pyro Flame. And just to demonstrate my ADHD, after upgrading my flame, I alt-tabbed out to do something on my run back to the bonfire and forgot I was poisoned, which killed me. Back in Duke's Archives, I got the broken pendant so I could go to hell later. The rest of the first section was pretty uneventful. That is, aside from getting gangbanged by a slither of snakes. Yes, a group of snakes can be called a slither, apparently. Interestingly, this actually shut off the gramophone. I'm really not sure what else to call this thing. But yeah, I've never had it shut off without me pulling the lever before. And apparently if you die here, it can shut off. So that's nice. The rest of Duke's Archives was pretty uneventful, aside from this archer who has no respect for my sippy breaks. My first attempt at Seath ended as many do, with a clam getting me killed. And in total, Seath took 4 attempts. For the winning attempt, I decided I would try Poise to avoid getting ragdolled by his attacks, which worked but wasn't really necessary in the end. And you know what time it was next. That's right, Pyromancy Flame time. This time I maxed out my Ascended Flame, taking it to +5. Still on the hunt for upgrades, I backtracked back to prison to get the White Seance Ring, increasing my attunement slots. Then I grabbed the Firekeeper Soul from New Londo, where I died because my camera collided with the archway and turned my character and made me walk off a ledge. I wasn't mad at all. Did not touch the right analog stick at all. The game just said, oh, there's collision there? It'd be cool if your camera ran into it and turned, wouldn't it? Whatever. We made the trek to Ingward, who gave us a key. The key let us lower the water level and add a few more inches to the bottom of Valley of the Drakes. If you were worried I would somehow do things in an order that made sense, don't worry, I didn't. Next, I headed to the Catacombs, where I fought Pinwheel. Then I faffed about in Tomb of the Giants for a few minutes before killing Patches.
Well, if that's what it has to be, why? What did I do?
After dying about 10 times on the run-up, I finally attempted Nito, where a skeleton stabbed me through the boss, killing me. I decided a divine weapon was probably a good idea. I settled on the Reinforced Club, which I bought from the merchant in Undead Burg before heading to Andre. I upgraded it to a +2 Divine Reinforced Club. And it turns out that the giant blacksmith sells green titanite, the stuff needed to upgrade divine weapons. So I headed to Anor Londo, where I did some farming to upgrade the club to +5. Back at Nito, I died on the first attempt, But once I was finally able to kill the skeletons, Pyromancy took care of the big guy. Seriously, you can do some big numbers with melee, but Pyromancy as a level 1 user is absolutely insane. From there, I headed back to the catacombs to get the Dark Moon Seance Ring, where we actually had to flip the bridge ourselves because I had done the skip earlier and killed Patches. But yeah, with the Dark Moon Seance Ring, we can now go fight Gwendolyn, which is exactly what I did next. I was a little worried about actually hitting him, thinking I would have to use the hand axe or club, but nah, Great Combustion was doing 1/4 of his health each cast. And that brings us to the Four Kings. This was the second roadblock of the run. I fought him in 2 sets of attempts, one while wearing the Ring of Favor and Protection and one without. The furthest I got during the first set of attempts was to the 4th King before realizing I was going to run out of combustion casts, and then I died while trying to hand axe him to death. At some point, I decided to switch to the Fire Hand Axe, which I bought from the Undead Merchant and promptly brought to Andre before looking up where to actually ascend the fire weapons. Turns out it's not at Andre. So I set off to get the Fire Ember from the Demon Ruins. And what the fuck is this? This is an absolute nightmare, and I mean, I know I'm only level 1, but this would be a nightmare on a normal playthrough too. This is just kind of ridiculous. On my second run through, I just kind of ran and got the Fire Ember because hey, this is not Dark Souls 2. Then I spent 20 minutes farming souls to buy the green Titanite I needed before finally setting off back to the catacombs to unlock the skeleton blacksmith Vamos, who we had upgrade our axe to +7. And it was here I discovered the Fire Hand Axe did 30% less damage than the Lightning Hand Axe, and yeah, that was the end of stream for the day. The next stream, I started out by buying the Balder Shield, which while it won't give us any stamina regeneration like Grass Crest does, it does have a higher stability and 100% physical damage resistance. And it's here that I committed to losing the Ring of Favor and Protection, which breaks if you remove it. That means that the little bit of health, endurance, and stamina that I was getting is now gone. I opted to do this to get the extra attunement slots for now. Then I headed back to the Undead Burg Merchant to purchase a couple clubs. They're theoretically better damage than the hand axe, and they can proc bleed, though I don't think I ever did that during this run. I also rescued Griggs from Lower Undead Burg so I could buy the Lingering and Bellowing Dragon Crest rings from him, which allow spells to last longer, spells like Power Within, and to do more damage respectively. They cost 20,000 souls each, and I ended up doing a lot of farming on the Anor Londo giants. Yes, I could have just killed them, but I wasn't feeling very evil this playthrough. As an added side quest, I also upgraded the Balder Shield to +9 for the added stability. Upgrades in hand, it was time for some more attempts at the Four Kings. Rather than running straight in, we now cast Power Within while wearing the Lingering Dragon Crest ring, which lets it last for 150 seconds, up from 100. Then I swapped the Lingering Dragon Crest ring for the Bellowing Dragon Crest ring, which will boost our spell damage by an additional 20%, bringing our total damage up to 160%. Then I replaced the Seance ring with the Covenant of Artorias. The Seance ring was used for its additional attunement slot, which allowed us to bring Power Within. It's quite the buffing process. I ended up doing another 6 attempts like this before I decided I was going to have to make a save state. I was previously avoiding making save states, but after 15 attempts, each with a 90-second runback, I decided my sanity was worth more than my integrity. And then, after another 3 attempts, I beat the Four Kings, claiming our last Lord Soul. This is where the run had taken a bit of a turn. Up until the Four Kings, I had just been able to get by with the occasional upgrade and playing a little bit less sloppy. But the Four Kings? The fight was only 2.5 minutes, but almost every move would one-shot me if I wasn't blocking. After that, I took a few minutes to do some more upgrading, getting our shield to +10 and creating lightning and fire reinforced clubs. And yeah, we don't need to talk about how I got the hammer. After I got the hammer though, I finally headed to the DLC where the Sanctuary Guardian literally died in 30 seconds. Then I decided I'd let the locals fork me for a bit, before finally making it to Artorias, who, in one of my cleaner fights in this run, I beat on the 3rd attempt. Then I used a maggot to get a new necklace, as one does. This next area, on the run to Manus, killed me the most by far. You're gonna attack as soon as I do something. But, like everything with not Dark Souls 2, in the end I ended up just running past without having any problems. Okay, well let's not... Then it was time for Manus. And Manus was rough. Over the course of 35 minutes I died 35 times, more than any other boss so far in the run. My issue is that I was trying to stay too close to him and I would keep getting caught by his fuck you combo, which was obviously a one-hit kill, as were pretty much most of his attacks actually. After about 20 minutes, I ended up trying to stay at a medium range from him and bait out his slam attack, burning his furry little hand when he did, and this worked a lot better. On my 7th attempt with this new strategy, I ended up beating him. This was also one of the longest fights in the run, clocking in at 5.5 minutes. Not anything compared to some other challenge runs, but staying focused for that long was extremely challenging for me. But hey, my winning attempt was almost hitless, only taking 2 hits that I probably could have avoided pretty easily. With Manus dead, that just left the last of the dragons and some old guy with a fire fetish. Starting out with a dragon, I visited the best NPC in the game and asked if he'd mind showing off his archery skills. He gladly obliged.
Yes.
And sorry for playing the whole cutscene, but Goff is my favorite and he deserves everyone's respect and recognition. Calamite was a rough fight for me as well. It took me 43 attempts over about an hour and a half, but it somehow felt less soul-crushing than Manus. The main issue is that most of Calamite's attacks would kill me, and since the fire attacks have multiple damage ticks, blocking was essentially useless. The common advice I had seen online was to bait out a fire attack, but that really didn't vibe with me. In the end, I settled on getting the Dark Woodgrain Ring for faster roll recovery, which definitely helped, and after another dozen deaths, I decided I would swap out Power Within for the Red Tearstone Ring. I figured since I was essentially one-shot for most of the fight, being actually one-shot wouldn't be that big of a deal. Now, an interesting note, Power Within is supposed to boost your damage by 40%, and RTSR is supposed to boost it by 50%. Instead, I went from doing 286 damage from an R2 with Power Within to 528 with Red Tearstone Ring. With my base damage at 204, Power Within is doing the correct amount of damage, but RTSR should have only been doing 306 damage. So for whatever reason, RTSR was actually giving me 158% damage buff. I don't know how this happened, but it made the fight considerably easier. And with another handful of attempts, I was able to beat Calamite, and that just left the old man himself. Gwyn wasn't any different than a normal run, just parry, drink, repeat. He definitely did cause me some trouble though, about 30 deaths worth, but he wasn't hard per se. My issue is that he would do his combo swipe instead of the long wind-up one, and you can supposedly block the first hit of the combo swipe, but I was never able to. So in the end, I had to tank a hit and then parry the second hit. And this was mostly challenging just due to confidence with the fight. And yeah, after that, that was my first challenge run completed. I've attempted others, namely Permadeath and Dark Souls 1, but I hadn't finished one before. And despite the frustration I had with some bosses, I actually had a great time, aside from, Beta Chaos, but whoever has a good time with Beta Chaos. I had such a great time that the stream after this run, I started doing Dark Souls 3 at Soul Level 1. So I guess if you want to see that, get subscribed. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the suffering as much as I did, and I'll see you around. Peace.